Alright, this video is all about lighting. Now that I've put so much effort into building this amazing outdoor space, I wanted to make sure I utilized lighting just right to not only light the space at night, but also accentuate the features in the structure itself. Let me walk you through my thinking on picking out lighting and installing it so that hopefully it'll give you ideas for things to consider on lighting your own outdoor space. I want to say a big thank you to this video's sponsors, which is Kichler and Noom. I have lights everywhere, so let me give you an overview of the setup, then I'll do a deep dive into each one. Coming into the space, I have pathway lighting to light up the walkway. In the trees, I have some lights that point up into the canopy, then others that point towards the ground. Coming up the stairs, I have recessed lighting in the deck. Around the perimeter of the roof, there are rafter lights that point downward. On each one of the posts, there is a light that shines down onto the post, then another that points up into the rafters. Then, also on each post, there are two lights directed downwards that highlights the stonework. Above the countertop, there are 4 pendant lights. Then, looking around to the other side of the bar, there are 3 lights that point downward onto the stone. Looking over at the fireplace, there is a light on the ceiling that highlights the stone, 2 in the hearth that are directed up, and then 1 on each log box that is directed down. By the way, if planning this sort of thing overwhelms you, 1, I hope this video helps, but 2, Kichler has a ton of amazing resources on what to think about whenever you're trying to light a space, and I'll link to all of that down in the description below. Every light in my space is a Kichler product, and I've left you links as well. Let's first start with landscape lighting. The tree size is going to determine how many lights are needed to properly accent it. My trees here are oaks and cedars and are relatively small. In fact, my northern friends call my trees anemic looking. So in my trees, I placed 1 light at the base looking up. The number 1 mistake people make with landscape lighting is overdoing it. The goal isn't to show every nook and cranny. You do want some shadows and silhouettes to create the contrast and beauty of things at night. I utilized the deck of the space to run and hide a lot of the wiring. In fact, I'll link to the wiring portion of the series down below in case you missed it. Then I utilized the boardwalk in order to run the main trunk of the wiring out to the yard. From there, I could split off to the different trees by trenching 6 inches to bury the wiring. From the trench, you can secure the wiring to the tree trunk by stapling it directly to the trunk. And a tip, if you're going to be wiring in lights in the tree, is to leave yourself some extra length of wire in the ground. This is a living, growing thing, so if a limb falls off or something extra bushy grows and blocks your light, you can easily move it without having to run more wire. Also, if you secure lights in the trees, then be sure to leave space behind the light fixture so the tree has some room to grow. The boardwalk was also used to hide the wiring ran for the pathway lighting as well. This is also referred to as spread lighting. These awesome fixtures come on a tall stake that can be placed right into the ground. Then the dome on top is a reflective surface that will help project out the light. Different fixtures have different diameter of light output, and it's important to understand what this number is before you place your lights so that you don't end up overlighting your space. You can think of the light a fixture casts as a pool, and you don't want those pools of light overlapping one another. In fact, it's suggested to have around 2.5 feet between each pool of light. Now, moving up the stairs into the deck, I placed 2 recessed lights to cast a light upwards to guide people safely into the space. This required a hole to be punched through the deck boards, and it is smart to do a test hole beforehand to make sure you have the correct size. But these lights are as simple as can be to install, as you just drop in the cord, then push the fixture down until it's flush. Oh, and note that you can get the light by itself with a flange, but I added in a honeycomb diffuser to the top so that it will break up the light some. Kichler made it very easy to swap out the upgrade by simply unscrewing one and screwing on the other. These recessed lights were also used over on my hearth. Before I poured my countertops, I glued the plastic sleeve in the position I wanted. Then after I poured the concrete, I could simply drop the lights in and run the wiring under the deck. I again went with the same diffuser on these. I placed these center to the stonework on both the left and right of the hearth, which nicely accents the fireplace area. Speaking of diffusers, let's talk about pendant lighting. I've never been a fan of pendant lighting because the ones that I've seen always cast a glaring light. However, these come with a covering that is also a diffuser. So it does allow some light to be cast out through the sides, but most of it is directed downwards. And I think Kichler did an excellent job at making this functional and also stylish. Each light comes with a good amount of cord, so again, you can adjust the length to fit your space. After it's cut, it can be ran through the chain so that once it's installed, it looks nice and sharp, but also gives the bar top this wonderful downward lighting. For downward lighting on the entire perimeter, I'm going with this fixture here, which has a bracket to make mounting it to pretty much anything easy, and a ton of cord to make nothing out of reach. One great feature I like is you can slightly unscrew the knobs on the sides to remove the bracket to make installing it even easier by just having to hold it up in place and throw in 2 screws. I placed 9 of these lights around the roof's edge. All of these are pointed downwards. Again, think about your pool of lighting. When I placed the 2 recessed lights in the stairs, I staggered them to these lights in the ceiling so that I would have offset upward and downward lighting. A super cool feature to these lights is they are actually dimmable. Each one comes with a magnet to change through the 3 options on brightness. Then to make sure the magnet isn't lost, it lives on the mini fridge. Those are all the light fixtures placed outside of the beam, which will help define the edge of the deck. Now let's move to the inside of the beam and install the light fixtures that will be my internal lighting. I don't ever suggest mounting lights above a ceiling fan. It's going to create a flicker that is just hard to stand. This Kichler ceiling fan has a center light that is below the fan blades, which avoids the flicker. Then to light the space, I went with these fixtures. The stock fixture off the website has this larger base box attached to it. Since my lights were going to be in a pretty exposed area, I swapped out this base for something a little more low profile. These bases are also Kichler, so it's as simple as unscrewing one and screwing on the replacement. These lights, as well as many of the others you've seen me install, have 3 adjustment knobs on them. You can rotate the cap to direct the light in the direction you want. The screw on the side will allow you to pivot the neck forwards and backwards. Then a nut on the base can be backed off to allow full left and right rotation. Once it's pointed in the proper direction, both can be locked down to hold it. And I have these lights directed so that it's shining up onto the corner hip rafter and casting a pole of light up and out. Now let's move on to the hardscape lighting, which is the fixture I have the most of in my space. These fixtures come in sizes ranging from 3 inches to 18, and they're really useful to highlight features, but can also be useful for safety should you, let's say, have a set of stairs you need to light up. In my space, I have 1 on each one of my log boxes so that I can always have light for when I'm grabbing a log. 2 on each of my posts to highlight the stone, then 3 on the bar to create some light in an otherwise very dark space. The biggest recommendation I can provide for these is to plan ahead. On all of these surfaces, they're mounted under the concrete top cap and required I drill a hole to run the wires beforehand. I mounted the metal flat plate before doing my pour. Then after the countertops were done, I came back and screwed on the fixture. I think it's amazing to have so many different lights serving so many different purposes. I guess I never thought about just how versatile lighting was before getting to this stage of this project. So I hope me going through it and passing along what I've learned is helpful as you're planning your outdoor space. Now let me cover a few other things that I think are important outside of the lighting fixtures themselves. First is controlling the lighting. I don't want all of the lights on all of the time, so I have 3 different ways of controlling the lights. First is by switches, second is by a timer, and third is by a Wi-Fi controller. First, let me dive into switches. Keep in mind that the more switches you add in, the more complicated wiring gets, and the more cluttered the switch area looks. I think of lighting in kind of 2 categories, functional lighting and ambient lighting. Functional lighting is for the times I want the space well lit so that I can see my food or play a game. Ambient lighting is when I want some subdued lighting to see my wine glass or the volume button on the stereo remote. I'm okay with ambient lighting always remaining on, so I only put the functional lighting on a switch. This means I have the rafter lights on a switch, pendant lights, the ceiling fan, and also the fireplace and hearth lights. This last group is more ambient lighting, but I put it on a switch so that I could turn off the overhead light should I be watching TV. Note that the ceiling fan switch is something special. It would suck to have to turn on and off the fan blades with the light. This switch is more expensive, but it allows me so much flexibility to where I can not only turn on and off the fans separately from the light, but it also dims the light. Then another option for controlling the lighting is a timer. I placed all of my ambient lighting, which includes the perimeter lights, the hardscape lights, and the deck recess lights, all on a timer. I set mine to come on at dusk every single day, but it could easily be 9 p.m. or midnight or whatever your preference is, which I think is pretty cool. Then the last option is through Wi-Fi. Kichler makes a plug-and-play device to control the landscape lighting called Kichler Connects. It's a smart control timer that allows you to use a smartphone, tablet, or voice-controlled home device to turn on and off landscape lighting. You can either create your own custom schedule or use the preset options. The app will actually align with your location to turn on and off based on the sunrise, sunset in your particular area, which I think is awesome. Also, the unique external antenna installed at the transformer allows for long-range connectivity and strong performance. All you have to do is plug in the smart controller, download the app, add a device, and then you're ready to go. All right, and now with the topics of the fixtures and controlling lights out of the way, let's talk about power. The vast majority of landscape lighting requires low voltage power. The way you can get low voltage power is to plug a transformer into a standard outlet. Then it converts the line voltage to low voltage and distributes it to the lights. To size a transformer, you add up the power usage of all your light fixtures. Don't max out the transformer. Low voltage doesn't mean a small cable. In fact, the cable I'm using is 12 gauge. Heavier cable allows you to put more fixtures in the line and lets you make longer runs. Alrighty, that is a lot of information, but I think that about wraps it up. Again, I will leave you lots of great Kichler resources covering topics like picking the right color temperature, lighting trees, path light spacing, and more. I am so proud to have partnered with Kichler on this video as they are leaders in the lighting industry. They offer comprehensive, professional-grade lighting solutions for your yard and outdoor living space that are not only innovative, but also add beauty and security. You can visit kichler.com/landscaping to learn more about their products, hire a contractor, or buy the fixtures I talked about in this video. Also, if you want to get caught up in the series up to this point, then be sure to check out the link down in the description as I have a link to all the videos. Also, you can stay tuned because next week I'm going to be showing you how I built this beautiful pathway leading up to the outdoor kitchen space. I hope that you're enjoying the series so far. We are almost at the end of it, guys. So I will see you on the next one. Real quick, I want to thank a sponsor of this video, which is Noom. Noom is a fascinating new way to get healthy and lose weight that uses psychology and habit change. It works and it lasts by helping you learn how your mind works and the why behind the decisions you make. So instead of dieting, you're learning. And Noom believes that it's what leads to real lasting change. I'm interested in getting and staying healthy, and Noom has been so interesting to me to approach my health and fitness from a science perspective. For fitness, Noom believes in joyful movement versus no pain, no gain. Activity starts with getting in and building upon your daily steps. They have tons of psychology-based articles around food and eating, as well as tons of delicious recipes, including grocery list and calorie markup, all conveniently located on your phone. So if you're also ready to develop some healthy habits that you know will stick, go to Noom.com via the link in my description below for your online evaluation. It's quick, easy, and it'll help you create your custom plan. If you're looking for a next project, I recommend this coffee table I designed that has adjustable heights. You can fold out the tall legs to eat from it, or you can tuck those up and bring out the shorter legs for it to be a standard coffee table. You can click here for plans and here to subscribe to the channel.